Good morning. For this week's video blog, I chose to look at smartphones as a technology and how they have been shaped by society, as well as how they have helped to shape society. Many of us in this modern era would have a very hard time imagining functioning in our day-to-day routines without the assistance of our smartphones or mobile technology. I sit back and think for a moment on all the tasks that I rely on this simple non-human device to accomplish to keep this human, namely myself, successful in my daily roles. Furthermore, as a society, have we become more reliant upon our smartphones, paving the way for more advanced technology and features to be built into them? And how is society impacting this development? I think of Latour's example of the simple door hinge. The very hinge itself had a very simplistic task, to allow a door to open and close. In his discussion, he also relates to a different type of door, a very heavy copper-plated door in his home. While a simple hinge may have proven functional, it wasn't the answer to his problem. It wasn't efficient. It would take a lot of effort and strength to actually continue to open and close that door. A new technology in a hydraulic door closer was needed to aid the function of the existing hinge technology. It needed something added to the base technology in order for it to adapt itself to the needs of the human user. This brings us back to the smartphone and how it has been developed. The smartphone in and of itself is merely a technological tool, but one with great power to be molded and manipulated into that of the user's particular needs through the use of software or apps. In comparison, the smartphone is the hinge, and the apps that we install on it are the hydraulic door closers. They're the assistants. The door itself would function with the use of just a hinge, regardless if the door closer is installed, but it will perform better and more to the user's desire if that additional technology is added. My smartphone, as a comparison, will also operate, regardless of which apps I may have installed. But it will perform the way I would like it to, only with those apps installed. This is how I can see smartphone technology being influenced and shaped by society. The smartphone itself must be adaptable to the individual's user preferences. This preference can drastically change from one social group to another, or in other words, how different groups may use the smartphone. Again, I reflect on how I use my smartphone on a daily basis. As a user, I can easily see myself transposing from one social group to another simply by the time of day. For example, when I'm at work, my smartphone becomes a tool suited for production and professional work. It aids me in contacting others via text messaging, as well as instant access to emails that may need my immediate attention. I can also use the wireless connectivity function to access multiple online resources at my fingertips to gain immediate resolution to specific problems, such as those that require the use of online resources. On the other side of the equation is when I'm not at work. Then I become more of a part of a social group that would describe the smartphone as a technology to enhance my personal life. This may be through access to social media, text messaging, or other entertainment-suited apps. I can use my smartphone to establish meetings with friends, or even look up the movie times at a local theater. I can use it to entertain my children with games, or check on the latest updates from friends on Facebook. One interesting area to note is that through all of this, I have neglected to point out the function that is called out in the name of the technology itself. The base function of a phone is missing from either of these social groups. It is because, in my opinion, the human interaction of conversation has relegated itself more to the non-human counterpart in the form of text messaging. How many of us prefer to send a text message to a friend or a colleague as opposed to that human interaction of the phone call and have an actual conversation? It is my opinion that while the smartphone has increased our ability as a society to gain access to information and materials in such a manner that is faster and more efficient, it has also changed the way we as a society view communication. Human interaction has begun to be influenced by the use of smartphones, and that as a society, many of us prefer to use our non-human counterparts to communicate with other humans. It eliminates the human interaction, which many feel to be awkward and uncomfortable. However, what happens when our non-human counterparts fail? Say your battery dies, or your child decides that your smartphone is a new pool toy. You are left in a daunting question of, what will I do now? My entire life was on my phone, and my phone was my life. As a society, it is my perception that we have become very dependent on our non-human devices to complete our daily human lives. They have assimilated themselves into our human society. Another conflict I have witnessed is how the use of smartphones and mainly texting aspect has begun to shape social interactions of younger generations. I have had many papers turned into me as an instructor using text slang as opposed to appropriate language and formatting. A gray area has now developed across the realm of what is professional communication and social communication. Many times I read emails that are drafted in terms of going to a friend rather than a professional email to an instructor or colleague. As a society, we have also seen the development of multiple acronyms, again, to express human relations and reactions through non-human devices such as smartphones. The terms LOL or OMG have now found their way into common everyday language as a way to express human emotions or actions or reactions through non-human devices to another non-human device for a human to interpret. In conclusion, while the smartphone has adapted and shaped through society's desires, it is also helping to shape our society with new approaches to social interactions. It is a technology that, when looked at from a Scott perspective, or the Scott theory, can have multiple definitions based on the social group using it at that specific time. It can either be a tool to aid in professional settings, or a means of social interaction between friends, or even non-human personal assistants. The definition of this technology and whether it has achieved a level of success can and will change based on the user group you happen to be in. And as demonstrated earlier, this can change throughout the very course of your daily routine. The smartphone has also been a key factor in shaping how a modern society communicates and interacts with each other. New vocabularies have been established with the new acronyms to use as a non-human technology to attempt to convey very human emotions and reactions to others. With all of this being said, the smartphone can be viewed in both lights. One is a success in the adaptation and assimilation to our society, and is a technology that has also helped to shape our society and help bring it even further into the modern era. Thank you.